When we talk about America's richest and most powerful families, we often picture those with high profiles: the Waltons, the Rockefellers, maybe the Kochs. But there's one family that has quietly built a financial empire managing nearly $6 trillion in assets, without the headlines, the scandals, or the spotlight. This is the story of the Johnson family, the architects of Fidelity Investments. Founded in the shadow of the Great Depression, stewarded across 3 generations, and now led by one of the most powerful women in global finance, the Johnsons have mastered the art of discretion, long-term planning, and private control. Their strategy: compound quietly and never give up the reins. In this episode of Quiet Money Files, we uncover how the Johnsons turned a single mutual fund into a dynasty that rivals any on Wall Street. Our story begins with Edward Crosby Johnson II, born in 1898 into a respected Boston family, a Harvard-trained lawyer with a passion for the stock market. Johnson launched the original Fidelity Fund in 1930, right as the Great Depression took hold. At first, it was little more than a side project. Johnson kept his day job at a trust law firm while the fund struggled to gain traction. But in 1943, amid investor frustration and lagging performance, he took full control, moving family assets into the fund and reshaping its strategy. Just 3 years later, in 1946, Johnson founded Fidelity Management and Research, the firm we now know as Fidelity Investments. His bold vision: a firm powered by in-house research, managed for the long haul, and built to serve everyday investors, not just the financial elite. That founding ethos would echo through every generation of Johnson leadership that followed. If Edward C. Johnson Sec. Was the founder, Edward Ned Johnson III was the builder. Ned joined Fidelity in 1957 as a research analyst, but his real impact began in the 1970s. Taking over as CEO in 1977, he transformed Fidelity from a boutique mutual fund manager into a financial powerhouse. He pioneered direct-to-consumer mutual fund marketing, launched the first money market fund with check writing, and helped usher in the era of the 401k, forever changing how Americans save for retirement. Under Ned's leadership, assets under administration grew from $3.9 billion to over $11 trillion. But perhaps his most important legacy was cultural. Ned believed in relentless innovation. He fostered an internal culture of experimentation that kept Fidelity ahead of the curve, and often ahead of its competition. When he finally stepped down in 2016, he had laid the groundwork for one of the largest privately held financial institutions in the world. Today, the face of Fidelity is Abigail Johnson, Ned's daughter, and one of the most powerful women in global finance. After joining the firm in 1988, she worked her way up through the ranks, learning the business from the inside. By 2014, she was named CEO, and in 2016 she became chair, giving her full control over Fidelity's operations and strategic direction. Abigail didn't just inherit an empire, she evolved it. She's pushed Fidelity deeper into tech and innovation, including cryptocurrency custody services, digital infrastructure, and data security. Her leadership style is more reserved than her father's, but just as strategic. Despite managing nearly $6 trillion in assets and overseeing a workforce of over 70,000, she remains intensely private, rarely granting interviews, never chasing headlines. What's striking is that she still owns about 1/3 of Fidelity Investments, preserving the family's controlling stake. That kind of centralized ownership is virtually unheard of in modern finance, and it's part of what makes the Johnson dynasty so unique. While most families would be content building a domestic empire, the Johnsons thought bigger. In 1969, Ned Johnson launched Fidelity International Limited, a bold move to expand the brand beyond U.S. borders. Initially a subsidiary, it was spun off in 1980 as a separate employee-owned firm. But here's the twist: the Johnson family still holds around 40% ownership. Fidelity International became the family's gateway to managing capital across Asia, Europe, and beyond, with offices in Tokyo, London, and Hong Kong, and over $340 billion in assets. This split structure, Fidelity Investments for the U.S., Fidelity International for global markets is strategic. It reduces regulatory friction, enhances operational flexibility, and allows each entity to specialize. Abigail Johnson currently serves as chair of Fidelity International, preserving family oversight while professional teams manage day-to-day operations. It's a case study in global diversification, not just of capital, but of corporate architecture. The Johnsons didn't just build a business, they built a blueprint for keeping it. From Edward II to Edward III to Abigail, each generational handoff was intentional, gradual, and strategic. Responsibilities were earned, not handed out. Abigail worked her way up through asset management, retail, and institutional business units before becoming CEO in 2014 and later chair. Fidelity's governance structure reflects this evolution. While the family retains control through ownership and board presence, day-to-day operations are handled by seasoned executives. It's a hybrid model, family-led vision, professionally managed execution. Succession planning remains a core strength. The Johnsons don't gamble on heirs, they train them. This stick-together philosophy has allowed them to avoid the ownership dilution and infighting that unraveled other dynasties. At its heart, this is quiet control. No shareholder votes, no quarterly earnings pressure, just long-term thinking, executed privately. Despite controlling a financial empire, the Johnsons are nearly invisible in public life, and that's by design. Abigail Johnson rarely speaks to the media. The family avoids flashy interviews, political grandstanding, or even splashy giving. Instead, they operate through quiet vehicles like the Fidelity Foundation, which has distributed over $500 million to education, medical science, the arts, and conservation. This low-key approach extends to their entire brand. No skyscrapers with their name, no celebrity status, just results and restraint. Even in philanthropy, they focus on capacity building, helping organizations become self-sustaining rather than chasing headlines. In a world of loud billionaires, the Johnsons are an outlier. Their power comes not from visibility, but from discipline. The lesson: you don't have to be loud to be lasting. The Johnsons didn't inherit a railroad or an oil fortune. They built something quieter, a financial empire rooted in trust, research, and long-term thinking. 3 generations have scaled Fidelity from a Depression-era fund into a $5.9 trillion powerhouse. Through careful succession, private ownership, and a deep commitment to privacy, the Johnsons have crafted one of the most enduring dynasties in American finance. They've proven that you don't need to go public to create generational wealth, or to hold on to it. In a financial world obsessed with exits, the Johnsons remind us that staying in, staying private, staying focused might be the most powerful move of all.